Guys, Wilka Tang, Los Angeles street and portrait photographer here, coming at you to do a what's in my camera bag video with my new Gura Gear Kiboko City Commuter bag. Full disclosure, I was sent the bag to review and test out, and I also had some conversations with Gura Gear on the features of the bag. I was kind of talking at them about 4 years ago. So just a quick note there. For a little bit of background, I just want to give you a bit of my history with camera bags. To start off with photography, I was starting off in about 2017 when Digital Rev TV was really big on the YouTube scene and got the Billingham Hadley Pro as a result of that channel. Really loved that bag. I was living in Chicago when I bought it, so it was the perfect bag to take on the subway, walk around the city, have quick access to my Sony a6000 I was using at the time. Really loved it. Eventually I found that using a messenger, carrying that around for many hours on end kind of hurt my back, so I wanted to find a backpack. Switched to the Peak Design everyday backpack. Didn't really like that one. Felt like the straps weren't that comfortable, and the origami only goes certain ways, so if you have smaller camera gear, it just kind of rattles around in there, so didn't like that. Switched on next to my Tenba backpack during the pandemic especially. This is really comfortable to go around with. They've discontinued this bag and replaced it. I haven't used the bag that replaces this one, so I can't comment on it. It's really nearly perfect. Gerald Undone did a video about how good it is. I just had a couple of minor flaws with it. So the way that you get to your camera in this bag is through the front and with this angle. So the flaw with that is if you need to get to certain stuff, it's stored vertically, so you might have to pull a lens out, hold it, and then get to the lens below that one. Additionally, if you have a tripod strapped to the side, that can cause the weight to be really unbalanced. So if you're getting at your gear while you have a tripod on the bag, it can tip over and you might spill your lenses everywhere. I've done that at least once and can say it from experience. Lastly, if you're using a bigger lens, like a 70-200 mounted on your camera body, you're not going to be able to get it in here. So those are just a few reasons why I decided I was going to look for another camera bag, potentially to replace this one. And that's how I landed on the Gura Gear City Commuter here, which I want to go through a few things about this bag that really helped me to choose it. So one of the most important things to me about a commuter backpack such as this one is going to be the straps, and they've used a really nice memory foam that holds all that weight really comfortable on your back, so you can have it fully loaded with gear and walk around really comfortably. Next up, that I think is really important, is zippers. Peak Design, Wandered, and a few other companies use the weather sealed zips. I personally don't find it necessary to have that. I think I'm going to be using an umbrella or a rain fly if I'm really going to be standing out in the rain all that long, to have water going through the zippers, and foregoing that allows Gura Gear to have zippers that are super smooth, like just pulling this back and forth with my pinky to demonstrate how little resistance there is on the zippers. It stands up on its own. Another important feature that I know a lot of people are looking for when they're looking for a city bag or something to travel. And these zippers on the back compartment also lock together, so you can put a little luggage lock on there. And one last thing about the zippers on this bag, when you can see this blue, that blue is there so that you know your bag is open if you forget to zip it up. So if you see blue, you know your bag's unzipped. One last detail that I think is really worth calling out is rather than use a really big buckle to close up this roll top, we've got fid locks up here. If you're not already familiar with fid locks, they're a type of magnet lock that you can pull on it all day. It's not going to come undone, but how it works is it only moves in one direction. So if it's near the other one, it'll close up. But so if you try to do this to the right, not going to go. Do this to the left, comes right out. And one last quick thing before I get into the bag is to give you a little bit of background on how I use this bag. I'm a photographer, but I don't just do that. I'm a photographer, I'm a writer, I have to take videos. I also work in marketing, so sometimes I need to sit down with a computer. Sometimes I'm going to these shoots and then going to meet my friends for lunch after that, or going to a coffee shop. So I love that this bag looks at home anywhere I have to go with it, whether I'm going to go shoot at the mountains, shoot at the beach, or sit down and do some work. So let's go ahead and get right into it. With a bag this size, I think one thing that a lot of people are going to wonder is if they can fit really big lenses into it. What I can say is that I have a 70-200 2.8 G Master version 1, which is one of the bigger 70-200 lenses out there. And you can see I still have some things beside it, so you can definitely fit that with the camera body mounted onto it. It's not going to be too elegant. It'll be a bit snug in here, but it's totally possible. Next to that, I have my Sony a7R III with the 16-35 G Master on it. So the reason why I chose these two lenses is that they normally say 24-70 is kind of what the eye sees. And I kind of wanted to test that out this year and figure we want to elevate reality a little bit or try to make photos that look a little different. So just chose to be anywhere outside of that range. But I love the 55 Zeiss so much that I always keep that with me anyway. Right beside that, I do have a few computer accessories that I like to keep with me. The Anchor Power Pod, I think is what they call this. Super tiny USB-C charger that pushes through about 65 watts, so I can keep my computer with me, and it's much smaller than the Mac charger. Cable for my Macintosh. And this is really handy. So most of the USB-C hubs that you see out there have an attached cable, which is a point of failure. I really like this one from CalDigit that has a separate USB cable. It also has a UHS-2 compatible SD card reader, as well as a USB-C and USB-A in the front. And then you have HDMI and DisplayPort on the back. I believe this is just a USB-C and not Thunderbolt. Another thing to mention is that since I only have a couple of things in here, I'm not using too many of the dividers, but you do get quite a few dividers that come with the bag. If you can see all these right here. So you get another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dividers, more than what I'm currently using. I just kind of stuck them in there. So this is a clamshell opening bag. The front of the bag will be put down on the ground, and a lot of people like that because it prevents some level of pickpocketing, or at least keeps pickpocketers away from your camera gear. So your laptop section here is on the back, and the fidlock here that closes it is mounted in kind of the opposite direction. So I've been having a little trouble getting some muscle memory going here. And I have a 13-inch MacBook with me, and you can see about how much room you have left. So I think if you had a 16-inch, it might be a little snug if it can get in there. And then there's a padded sleeve area for your tablet computer. So if you have an iPad or a Galaxy tablet, you could slide that in there. But I probably would feel like it's too snug to do the computer and the tablet and use these filter holder sleeves, plus these big lenses that I have here. As far as this area, I don't really keep a lot of filters, so I just have a lightning cable for my iPhone. I keep the Leatherman bit kit, which gives me a lot of different screwdriver bits for my Leatherman tool, which I'll show you in just a second on the front. Are you familiar with Gura gear at all? You'll recognize this butterfly motif, and they've carried that over to the City Commuter, giving us two big, or at least two tall areas for accessories. So on the left side here, I just keep a little notebook, battery bank here, 26,000 milliamp hours. I believe that's just about the maximum that you can take on an airplane here in the States. We've got two pen pockets, and here's an RFID safe pocket that I was just having my notebook in. These flaps right here have two separate zipper pouches, a little skinny, so I just keep small things like AA batteries, another battery for my A7R III, another CR2032 for some of my shutter releases, And then I have another USB-C cable that I use with that battery bank for some accessories like the Sony ZV-1 Mark II I'm currently shooting on. You do also get a little key lanyard here, and there's another one inside the bag as well. That's a little closer up with less dangle to it. So that takes you through that one. On the opposite side, we've got a slightly different design here with these pockets. Keep some Zeiss wipes. You can never have too many of these Zeiss wipes in my opinion. Love them for my glasses or for camera lenses. This side, I've got just some tripod plates. Pelican SD card case. Oops, spilled out a few there. I really like this one. It's water and airtight, I believe. I know a lot of companies are coming out with combination SD card holders and readers, but I feel like they're really thick and really fat. So I just like to have them as two separate components myself. And I have a multi-tool here. I think if you're doing a lot of video and rigging, I think the small rig multi-tool will serve you a lot better. But since in my case, I only deal with maybe the Peak Design plates or similar, I just use this one. It's got some pliers. I have with my multi-tools bit exchanger, I got a hex bit that can fit the Peak Design plates. I don't know what size hex that's called, but that folds away really neatly. And then you also have a really high quality knife in there. So that's a really useful tool for me. And that takes us through the front. Then if you're a cyclist, you also have some places on the front to clip a reflector or a little light. On this side of the camera bag, you've got a little water bottle holder that magnetically clips to the side. One of the things about Gura gear is they do like to keep everything really neat and tidy to keep your bag from looking loose, sloppy, and having lots of dangly bits all over the place. You'll see that a little more with the straps, and we'll get into that shortly. But we've got some magnets, so this stays really flush. You can get a pretty decent sized water bottle into here. Let me just grab one to show you. I think this is about a 26 or so ounce bottle. Right in there, and I've seen people get the Peak Design travel tripod or the similar size Ulanzi and Komen tripod in here. I think if you've got a bigger one like an 80-inch tripod, it might be a little bit of a tight fit. Another thing that I always have on my camera bags is a carabiner, just to throw a hat on there, or if I'm going to the beach to shoot, I might throw my flip-flops on there and just clip them to my bag so they don't get carried away by the water or something like that. Something else that's really useful that I've found is if you're taking pictures of someone, especially models that are trying out new clothes, their blouse might make them look a little bit wide in certain shots. So just keeping some little binder clips like you find at Office Depot can help you pin their shirt back and give you a little bit of a different silhouette if that presents as a problem for you. Roll top. I've heard a few people say that this roll top is smaller than some other bags that also have a roll top closure. And I can see that compared to the Tenba, you do have a little bit of roll top, or sorry, a little bit less roll top storage, but I think of them in two different ways. In my opinion, the Tenba is a really good roll top sack with a camera compartment in it. And the Gura Gear City Commuter is a really well thought out camera bag that just has a little bit of roll top storage in addition to it. You know, this is perfect if you have like camera 50mm and maybe one other lens, but I think you can have a really versatile setup in here, and that's kind of the difference. But they both allow you to have a few different things on top in that roll top section. If you're really organized though, I still think you get a lot in here, and I can demonstrate that right quick. All right, so these fid locks open. I am getting used to those. And really neat magnet closure here. Might not be able to see just right now. First thing, I might have slightly broken this over the years, but I really like to keep the Rogue flash bender with me. Stores down as just 2 little sheets, but it basically allows your small speedlight flash to become a softbox mounted flash, so you get really soft light out of a small light source. Next up is the MagMod mag shoe, which allows you to quickly mount anything that has a hot shoe or even a cold shoe. So just that quick, it's mounted, and then you have a pistol grip for your flash, and then you can use this in conjunction with the Rogue flash bender and get really soft light. This is really helpful because in the cities like Los Angeles and New York, you often need a permit to put down a light stand and set things up like that. So you can work a little more improvisationally with this, get your light off axis from the camera and hold it out a little bit further, which is always going to soften things up and give you that much more control with this extension that you get here. Next up, AirPods, because I do kind of work with this a lot. Trigger. Oh, this light was the Godox V1, if you're curious. I also just keep a few napkins in here because you never know when you're gonna have to blow your nose or you're gonna spill something and need to clean it up. So I find that to be super, super helpful. You can kind of see the inside of the roll top. Each side of this top storage area has a little bit of an elastic pocket right next to it. And just about the last thing I keep with me, oh, I also had this in there, but forgot I took it out for a second. I always like to just keep a little flash drive in each of my bags. So this is just a cheap one that I was given at some event. Last thing that I find really, really neat is this SD card reader from JJC. I'd been looking for one that I could use with my iPhone for quite a while, and this is a really interesting solution. So on one side you have USB-C, but on the other you have USB-A, but it doesn't stop there. This USB-A pulls back and you have a lightning connector. So you can use this with USB-A, USB-C, and lightning. So that's an overview of what I keep in my camera bag and some of the top features and reasons for why I like the Gura Gear City Commuter. Remember that, you know, I'm taking this to beaches, hiking to the tops of mountains, going into the city with this, doing shoots, and then it doesn't stop there. You know, sometimes I go meet my friends and we'll carry this with me, and I like a bag that can look like it belongs anywhere it goes. Oh, also before I go, I guess it's worth mentioning that this bag also has a quick access slot here on the side. And I think the emphasis on something like this isn't necessarily the speed, but more so the fact that you can get to your camera without having to put it down on the ground. Here in Los Angeles, the ground can be quite gross. I can't pull it out as fast as some other people because I mounted a grip on the bottom of my camera, which makes it a little bigger than most. But that's kind of how it looks to pull it out. I have an extra inch or so on the bottom of the extension from putting this small rig grip on. And then I have this strap dangling off. One last thing that I was talking about before is that Gura Gear likes to keep everything really neat and tidy, or at least allow you to keep everything really neat and tidy. So one demonstration of that is with these top straps. Once you cinch them down, many bags would leave you with a lot of excess strap here. So Gura Gear just puts this in bit with these two magnets so that you can fold away this excess strap and then wrap those magnets around the main, and no more dangly. We've got a neat roll top bag that's folded away. So that's the Gura Gear City Commuter, 18 liters, what I keep in it. I'm Wilkin Tang. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.